Welcome back, everybody, to your weekly dose of just fun and just a very large man screaming into a microphone and a very talented woman who has been annoyed for the past half hour because me and Brian have been talking just about, general life in general, what's going on in the world, and she is dealing with a brand new, unbelievable computer that we've got here. So she's behind, right now. Alex, you can't see it, but Alex looks like she's she looks like George Martin. She's putting together like some huge record or something like that from the Beatles or something, because she's got the whole thing in front of her and all that kind of good stuff. It's the Mike Sasson Show every week live on the riversedgepgh.com or on Facebook Live or on TuneIn Radio. Welcome again. Looking forward. Last week of August. I know that the calendar always says that the summer ends in like 2 or 3 weeks, like September 23rd. But no, summer ends pretty much in a week from now. Today's show, very good show. We've got at around 10:30, guest from Super Monkey Recording. We'll have Laurel Fredrickson. She'll be talking about what she's doing this weekend. Also, we'll be talking a little bit about Colin Kaepernick from the San Francisco 49ers, why I think we should all just basically stop being offended on everything. Also, we're going to be talking about my niece's first day of school, talking a little bit about that. And the top 5 today is the top 5 most awkward situations that we get into every single day. Like not of all time. I mean, we could all talk about like awkward situations that we get into or have been in. These are the everyday awkward situations, things that just pop up when you're working in an office or just living your life. And if you don't live in a basement and never leave or anything like that, things that you do and get into every single day. As I mentioned before, what I'm going to do today is talk a little bit about Colin Kaepernick, but from a different perspective. Because if you didn't know, over the weekend, Colin Kaepernick, who is a quarterback from the San Francisco 49ers, he decided to protest, generally the plight of minorities in this country by not standing for the national anthem before a preseason football game. And my point, and this is, I guess, what I really want to get across to people in general, someday we're all going to pass away. We're going to talk a little bit about Gene Wilder passing away in 2016, about being just a year of celebrity deaths. But one thing that I wanted to get across was I'm getting pretty sick and tired of people being recreationally offended. People who just seem to, the only thing that gets them going in the morning is seeing something that they're upset by, and that's what fuels them for a couple days. And then people decide not to care, and then they move on to something else to be mad about. And that's just all that keeps them going. It's just every day someone says something, someone does something, someone is something. And it's not, and people always associate that with the left. People always associate that with, the college kids who have the trigger words and they need safe spaces and all that other kind of good stuff. But it happens on the right too. And this one is one of the things that the right is all upset about, and they're getting their panties in a bunch about the fact that the football player didn't stand for the national anthem. So one of my goals in my life, for as long as they keep me on this, on this rock spinning through the universe, is I want to really, be the Pied Piper of not giving a damn. Okay? I feel we'd all be so much more excited about life, healthier, happier, if we just lived our lives and only focused on things that were important and things that needed to be changed. Okay? The fact that the football player didn't stand for the song, do you really care that much? Is it something that really hurts your day? Did you really sit in bed and just go, oh, I can't believe that the piece of crap quarterback who's probably going to be cut because he stinks didn't stand for the national anthem? Was that big a deal for you? But every news organization, every talk show had like hours upon hours about, was he right? Was he wrong? Here's my personal opinion. Would I have done it? No. Does he have a right to do it? Yes. Guess what? Move on.
That's it.
That's
I
it.
think that's a really good role for you.
I think it's a good role. I want to make not giving a crap into like a movement. Like if anything, this show, this show is a passion of mine. Okay, and I hope and I know it's a passion for Alex because of how hard she works and how great she is. And the people that watch it, I want it to become something of a movement of just not, because really, if you look throughout history, the reason why things are getting better for people is we're not giving a damn about things that we used to really care about. Like we used to really care about if a person, was homosexual. Now we're caring less and less about that. That's good.
It only took how long?
Yeah, a couple thousand years. We used to really care about what someone's race was. Now we're moving closer. We're not anywhere close to being there yet, but we're moving closer to not giving a damn. I mean, people forget they used to be a big deal. Like you talk to your grandma, or you talk to older people. It used to be a big deal about what ethnicity you were. Like it used to be a big deal, like, oh, that person's Irish, that person's Polish. Ooh, let's fight. Like that used to be a big deal, but then people stopped giving a damn. To me, that's when we become a society that stops caring. Now, I understand you sit there and say, he disrespected the troops and he disrespected the country. Maybe. Great. You now know Colin Kaepernick, what he thinks. Move on.
I think it's weird. Me and my roommates were discussing this, and I think it's weird that high schoolers, all throughout school, that you have to say it every single morning. It's weird to me. I think that kids should definitely know it, and they should be able to recite it. But to say it every morning, I don't know what that's doing for children.
It's indoctrination.
Oh, right.
That's exactly what it is. It's indoctrination to, when I was in high school, we had you had at Baldwin, we had the same thing at Fox Chapel. We had the morning announcements on TV.
That was me.
That was you.
I was the morning announcements.
You didn't know we had a Baldwin Whitehall area celebrity with us.
Yes.
That's right. But you'd have somebody doing the morning announcements. And so what would happen is we'd be sitting in class, and I can remember what they would do is they'd say, now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And then they'd show a video of the flag outside waving. And for 4 years, because I always had first period drafting with one of my football coaches, so it was a blow off beyond blow off class, and no one ever stood for it. Everyone just kept talking.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Me and my roommates were eventually, once you got to senior year, see, I never knew because I was the person reading the announcements, but I wasn't standing. Also,
yeah,
I was sitting.
Because eventually you're just yeah, we get it. We love America.
I just don't
Wonderful.
get the point of it.
It's indoctrination. That's all really. I don't want to get onto this rant.
No, we don't want that.
Okay, we'll do it quickly.
No.
That's all school is. It's indoctrination into becoming a member of an industrial society. It doesn't teach you to think. It doesn't teach you to feel. It doesn't teach you to become a whole human being. It teaches you to work in an office or a factory. That's why they start early. Then they make you say a Pledge of Allegiance. They make you not question authority. That's the whole point. That's what they do. But to me, that was my quick rant.
That was good. That was a good one.
Thank you. I could have gone on for a long time with that. And all of you would have been even more bored than you are right now. But the thing that I just want to get across is I was thinking about people always say, oh, the troops are insulted. I had a father that was in the military. And I had two grandparents that were in the military. Both my grandparents fought in World War II. My grandparents are both passed. I know that if I sat with my grandparents, my grandpa, and I said, hey, the football player didn't stand for the national anthem, this would have been their exact response. Asshole.
And then that's it.
That's it. Then they would have moved on with raising kids, running companies, doing whatever they do with life.
Doing their shit.
Yeah, doing whatever they want to do. They wouldn't have sat there and been, holy, I can't believe the fact that...
Let's talk about this for 3 days.
Let's really get... Now they're getting into how will this affect his career. You know what'll really affect his career? The fact that he sucks.
And his hair. I think that really just...
His hair sucks.
Kills him. He's Like he's not really. He has a weird face,
Yeah.
but like
He's not
the
an attractive
hair.
man.
No, the hair just makes him way worse. Like he could be like, but the hair is just like, what are you doing, man? That's what I was really focused on when I watched anything about him.
You 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 feel he shouldn't stand for his barber. You feel that
Yeah.
should be the issue. Moving on. Again, why I'm moving on? Because at the end of the day, he didn't stand for the song. If you want to stand for, I stood for the song. Every time I go to a sporting event, I stand for the song. I will continue to stand for the song. But if you don't want to stand for the song, great, don't stand for the song. Moving on. Speaking of school, this past week, a very kind of weird thing happened to me as it relates to school.
You know what I just realized? Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you.
Sure.
Whenever you start talking about things, I find myself doing the dog thing where they're like, "Huh," you know. I just caught myself doing that.
Well, you do watch.
So I'm like, my dog does that all the time. So I guess I just picked it up from her over the years.
That's how you pick it up. Oh, Mike's gonna say something. But no, I like it because when I watch the video afterwards, that indicates like, oh, Alex is listening.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Because sometimes, like, and we even talked about this. Like sometimes, like, I'm gonna do a 10-minute thing about what I think the Steelers are gonna do this year, and Alex.
I don't look that bored.
No, we've discussed that. Moving on. But I try to keep you enthralled. So just so you understand, I have an audience of one at this point, and it's Alex. If Alex is smiling and nodding and doing all that kind of good stuff, then I go, okay, maybe someone could possibly be interested. Like afterwards, if you hear me like, Mike, that first segment was horrible. I'm like, well, Alex was smiling and being polite, so I guess blame Alex if the show is boring. Now you look like a Stepford wife, but she's the Stepford host.
So school.
Yeah. This past week, my niece Mia entered into kindergarten.
Aww.
And really, it's kind of weird because like it's weird when, like we talked about last week, the internet. And by the way, a friend of yours, I have to do a correction. I kept on calling them cyborg prostitutes. They're just plain robots.
Oh, that's my cousin.
Yeah, I have to make that correction. Cyborgs and robots are two different things. I can't interchange them. They were robot prostitutes. So if you've been talking this whole week about cyborg prostitutes and everyone's just like, huh? That's the reason. Back to my niece in first day of kindergarten. So it's weird because, again, you like I talked about last week with the internet, when you remember somebody or something before it happened. Obviously, I remember my brother and my sister-in-law well before they had their children. And so you always have this mental image in your mind of like, because I can remember being in the hospital holding Carly and everything like that. Now she's going off to like real school. And it's kind of a weird because she got in the bus and she had her first day and all this kind of stuff. So it's very, it's a weird feeling to have that kind of relationship with someone. You're like, wow, you're growing up, you're doing all these kind of things. And I guess the first day of kindergarten, they allowed the parents in for like the initial like indoctrination and all that kind of good stuff. And so they had her thing laid out and they gave her a folder and it said Carly Sasson. And then my sister-in-law took a picture of the classroom she'll be in, and it had all the rest of the other kids. And this just really kind of shows, I think, internally what I believe about school in general. Is my only thought was like, wow, that's really cute by Carly. But which one of those kids is going to be the first to make her life hell? Which one of those kids is going to be...
That's a sad thought.
But that's how I feel about like school. Like one of those kids is going to be because she's lived an unbelievably wonderful life. She has great parents. She's the firstborn in a large family of, we've all, given her tons of presents and love and everything. So right now she's lived the life. She's never done, in her mind, anything wrong. The world is a beautiful, lovely, wonderful place. But who's going to be the first person to walk up to her and just be like, your shoes are ugly? Your dress is stupid.
So what are you going to teach her? What are you going to say that you should do back to those people?
Punch them in the face.
Okay.
That's biggest,
what I would say, but
that's my biggest. I was thinking about that, because I mean, like every person in the world, everybody at some point was bullied in school. That's just how it is. There's there's just, the world is filled with assholes, and you have to learn how to deal with them. And one thing that I didn't do, because I was just such a nice kid and I was always worried about getting in troubles, everything like that, is people would just, pick on, oh, your pants are, like, it really happened terribly when I came back. I lived in Texas for 2 years, and then I came back to Pittsburgh, and I went to Fox Chapel, which made it even worse. So I was around the richest, worst people in the history of the world. And so I came back from Texas, where, like, you wore blue jeans. I'm talking blue, like cowboy blue jeans. And so first day I walk in, and this was like the late 80s. So everyone was in like stonewashed and all this other kind of, like, everyone was, everyone wanted to look like Rat. Everyone wanted to look like, Warrant. And so I walk in, and the kids are just like, those are stupid jeans. Those are stupid. You're just stupid. What are you dressing? Why don't you just blue? And I remember, and I would just go, oh, I'm sure, okay. If older Mike was talking to younger Mike, I would be like, go up to him and just take a desk and just slam him right in the fucking face. Just punch him. Just kick the living shit out of him.
That's pretty intense.
That's what I would tell my son. When I have a son, they'd be like, does anyone talk to you? Punch him I'll take the suspension.
See, I have a hard time because, like, I always say that if anyone did anything wrong to me, I would just, like, hit him in the face.
Yeah.
And that's my advice to usually everyone.
Yeah.
But really, I wouldn't. Like, I was the same way in high school, too. Like, if anyone was mean to me, I'd be like, okay, try and fight me. I will probably just laugh at you and then walk away.
High school is a little different.
But I'd still do that now.
See, now I'm an adult.
I don't know who's trying to fight me, though. Well, I don't know why anyone would try to fight me now.
Yeah, when you get to be our age, getting into a fight is just silly.
Yeah, it's usually just like if you're a 40-year-old drunk dude at the bar.
Yeah. Like, at this point, you're just, your life isn't going well if you're getting into fights. But I'm talking like you're in 4th or 5th or 6th grade. Like, I didn't fight enough. I should have just been just throwing people through windows. I mean, like, who cares? You're in 5th grade. They'd have just been like, hey, Mike, don't do that anymore.
Don't throw them through windows anymore.
But literally, nothing happens. Like, if you got suspended when you were in 5th grade, who cares? I mean, really, up until, like, your freshman, sophomore year in high school. If you, like, after your sophomore year of high school, it's just like, okay, I'm going to stop beating the hell out of everyone. They're like, all right, he's a good kid.
Yeah.
But, like,
he shaped up.
Like, teachers would always talk about your permanent record. You don't understand. That'll go on your permanent record. Again, that's why I have a problem with teachers, okay? And I have brothers and sisters who are teachers. I know you use the whole permanent record crap just to scare kids. Like, your permanent record. Everyone will know it. It'll be there at the end of your life, and you'll die. And that was always, I'd be like, oh my God, it's going to be on my permanent record.
Yeah, see, like, I realized that kind of early on. Not that I got in trouble, like, ever. I got in trouble, like, once in high school for plagiarism.
What?
For plagiarism.
I understand what plagiarism is, but, like, what did you do?
No, it was my senior year, my last English research paper, and you had to pass that to graduate.
Okay.
And it was like 2 sentences, and like my teacher was not our real teacher. She was subbing in for our teacher who was having a baby.
Okay.
And so I got called down to the guidance counselor, and I thought they were gonna like say something nice to me, like, great job, you were a great student, Alex. But they didn't, and they were like, you plagiarized now. And they highlighted like the 2 sentences in my paper, and then I had to do it all over again, and I could only get half credit for it. And I went home to my dad and I told him this after I'd like cried at school because that's stupid. And he was like, this is ridiculous. How dare they do this? Do you want me to call them? Like, do you want me to get this sorted out? And I was like, no, Dad, like, don't call the school. Please don't do that. But okay, I did it. I redid my paper. I redid like 3 sentences.
Okay, now I'm going to talk to educators. Okay.
Oh.
You need to stop giving a fuck. Because here's the problem. And I come from I coached for 6 years in football. So, and all the rest of the people were teachers. Understand, sometimes when you go into a school, like you're at Baldwin High School, you think the whole world is Baldwin High School.
Yeah.
You think that everything that goes wrong in this school is the most important thing. Nothing you're doing is that important. I'm just telling you, teachers, most of you are wasting your life. You really understand that most of these kids will forget your name. They really don't care. I would say right now, the only people that I actually remember from high school and middle school were my football coaches. Those are the only people that if I saw them in a mall, I would stop and say, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" Everybody else, I could care less.
I had 2 really great teachers, and that was
I
about
had
it.
zero. I had zero great. I had a lot of like functionally like they taught me about like stuff, but none that were like, like you always watch like TV, like you always watch movies like, Mr. Holland's Opus or Dead Poet Society, who, by the way, the real teacher from Dead Poet Society, I found out after I graduated from UConn, is a English professor at UConn.
What?
Yeah, and I never took his class. He could have been dancing on desks and trying to teach me how to be a better person, and eventually one of the other kids in the school would have killed himself, and that'd have been a great story that I could tell right now. But no, I was never told that the real guy that they based the movie Dead Poet Society on was a teacher at a college I went to. Moving on.
Google would have helped you with that.
Again, it wasn't around in 1996.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If you had it, there you go.
Yeah, I'd have had to get, I'd have to type and talk to some dork at MIT. But okay, so again, educators, chill out. 2 sentences? 2 sentences.
It was probably more than that, but
I don't care.
To me, it was 2
unless
sentences.
you literally photocopied a book and handed it in there. All you would have had to do was just be like, yeah, see these 2 sentences? Yeah, figure out another way to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's all really a report is anyway. When you're in high school, no one comes up with any new things. All you're doing is you're reading a book and then regurgitating it in another form.
Right.
No one comes up with any, and here's the other thing. They don't want you to come up with anything new. All they want you to do is do exactly right. Here, read this book on Abraham Lincoln. Tell me what you read. That's all they care about. So again, essentially the entire thing is plagiarizing this book on Abraham Lincoln. Here's what I used to do. I used to have this there was this every year, or we had this this big project that you had to do. And it had to be had footnotes, and it had to have what books and all that kind of, and you have to have a bibliography at the end of the thing. I'm just admitting this right now. A, I still don't know how to do a bibliography. B, I'd say if I mentioned 10 books, 9 of those books, I just saw them in the library, wrote down what the name of the book was, and said I read them. And then I'd be like, oh yeah, that was from that book. No, it wasn't. If anybody actually read my report, they'd realize it was just mostly it was me talking about. So this
You
is
also
what
it's harder for people to catch you for plagiarism because they just put it into a computer and it spit back out which parts were plagiarized.
That is true.
So,
but you know what? At the end of the again, why would they care? 2 sentences. Just take the 2 sentences out, or whatever. Again, educators, chill out. Stop caring. Care about what things that are important instead of things that aren't important. Alex's 2 sentences were not that important. Okay. Moving on. One thing that we should care about, and this is something that Alex sent me the other day, which I was very concerned about. What just happened?
I'm sorry,
on the
nothing
computer?
happened. No, I don't want to talk about it. Go ahead.
How could I respond
I'm sorry.
when I'm seeing my co-host eyes go like this and go, oh my God, did someone send you a naked photo? I mean, what happened just then?
No. People were just commenting. I didn't realize that people had commented.
Yeah, people listen to the show sometimes. That's the whole point.
But
of the
I guess I
program.
had to refresh everything and then, people comment stuff, but they're too long. Go ahead. Go on with
Okay,
your
well,
story.
we appreciate you commenting. Keep commenting. And here's the goal. Comment to the point to where Alex, make that face again of the shock. Make the shock face again.
I can't do it unless I'm shocked.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, is that good?
I want that face at least 4 or 5 times during the show. That's what I want. Okay.
Anyways.
Moving on. All right. Apparently we now have clowns in the woods that are trying to lure children.
I saw this article last night and I was so scared. I was so scared.
The only thing that I thought of it was just this is life in 2016. You talked about Googling things. My life, because I have the CNN app, everyone on their phone and stuff like that. Every morning I'm just time to wake up, time to attack the new day. Let me open up my phone and there's a CNN update. I'm like, oh, okay, what happened? Oh, there was a train derailment in Pakistan. There's 300 people dead. Gonna make some eggs.
But for anyone who doesn't know, there's a story about these clowns in South Carolina.
Yes.
There's this wooded area, and there's this group of clowns that are hanging out there trying to lure children into the woods, by different ways. Some are just hey, come over here, and others have knives and candy and stuff. And apparently they all live in this rundown little house in the woods. and like multiple kids have seen them and stuff. And this one girl was talking about how she walked home at like 2:30 in the morning, which, you know, I do that a lot, so I was very scared about this. But she was walking home at like 2:30 in the morning, and she saw this clown under a streetlight by a dumpster, just like standing there, and the clown waved at her, and so she waved back and then just like went home. But I was like, I would literally shit my pants and run away right there.
All I thought of when you sent me this article last night is I had seen it prior, and I was just like, I don't know comedically what I can do with clowns in
I
the
just want
woods.
everyone to know how scary that is.
But the only thing I thought of was just like, all right, now I know that there are clowns trying to lure children in South Carolina. Like, that's just one more thing I have to honestly put it in the thing of like, I can't care. But I would say that clowns in general are scary. Now, I'm not going to rip clowns, because I had a friend once who like hung out with clowns, and I tried to rip clowns, and this person ripped into me for like 45 minutes talking about how clowns are just the absolute most important thing. They're the cog of our
Clowns
society.
are proud of being clowns. That's fine. Go ahead, be a clown, but don't scare me.
Yeah,
and don't lure children into the woods.
Don't
that's
lure
fucking
children.
Creepy.
Yes. Don't. That's in general. Don't be creepy, and don't try to lure clowns. Don't be a luring clown. Be a happy clown that goes to hospitals and entertain children. Don't be an evil clown. Let me do a PSA.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Go.
Hi, this is Mike Sasson of the Mike Sasson Show. If you're a clown, choose to be a good clown. Help out sick kids. Go to birthday parties. All that kind of good stuff. Please do not be an evil clown and lure children into the woods. We'd all appreciate it. Okay, good. There. Just don't do it.
When I was little and I would get invited to birthday parties, my mom would have to call the parents of the kid and ask if there was going to be a clown at the party, because if there was, I wouldn't go because I was terrified.
Clowns are pretty terrifying. They're a weird thing. But again, I always feel I'm scarred by this. Was only like a few years ago where I was just like, clowns suck. And this friend of mine was like, you don't understand.
No.
They're clowns. They do so much for children, and they are just the most wonderful human beings in the world. And brr, 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 brr. And I was just like, I'm sorry to ever ripping clowns. I did this voice for 2 months. I had to do shows that way. Hi, I'm Mike Sasson. There people say I'm Mitt Romney's fat kid. You know, I'm just like this guy sucks. It really hurt my career, what you would call it. But no, I mean, the other thing that got me in the article was apparently it was in a kind of a bad neighborhood. And like the parents were just like, yeah, we have people like selling drugs and, you know, carrying around guns. Now we got to worry about evil clowns in the woods.
They're giving so many kids nightmares.
Here's the problem. You would have only kids that are getting nightmares are the kids in the neighborhood. We are adding to that because if there's any children that are watching this or are watching this in the future, we are now informing them that there are now clowns in the woods that want to take you into the woods.
I'm not going to the woods anytime soon.
Don't go to the woods. What's in the woods?
You can go like hiking and stuff.
No.
The woods are nice.
No.
You don't like to be outside?
I like to be outside, but the woods, you know, I mean, like I have so many, like people like love to camp or love to hike. You know, I like to hike, you know, hike in a neighborhood, hike around Lawrenceville, hike around Bloomfield, hike around
I like nature.
Aspinwall. Nature's not bad, but you know, like every kid in, you know, Western Pennsylvania, you kind of live near a creek or something like that. And you'd go back there and that was nice for like 10 seconds. Then you'd be all covered in mud. Your mom would yell at you.
I don't agree.
But yeah, I'm not a huge, if you're going to hike, urban hiking, that's my big fan. I'm a big fan of the urban hiking. Moving on. That was
sweating.
If you're sweating, what do you think I'm doing?
The hot coffee is like not the best idea, but you know.
I hate this weather. I hate summer so much.
I love summer. I just don't like being in, like if I'm outside and I'm sweating to death, I'm like, oh, okay, well at least I'm outside and I can enjoy it.
Here's
and go in a pool.
Here's what this
get
week.
Some sun, get a tan.
None of
right
those,
now I'm just sitting here sweating and like. Ugh.
None of those things work for me. None of those things.
We don't get tan.
I don't.
Because apparently you don't go outside.
I go outside, but I am fully clothed at the time, and we'll get into that too. But
that's probably good.
But here, the one thing I want to talk about, a couple things, is they found supposedly the new oldest man in the world.
These
Okay.
are my favorite stories. I love old people.
Okay. This is it's cool, but it's sad.
Oh,
Okay. Just giving you a little warning. It's cool, but sad.
disappointment right up front.
All right. This guy out of Indonesia, he has a driver's license from Indonesia, so obviously it's real. He claims to have been born in 1870, which means he is currently 145 years old.
No, that's not. No.
That's what he's
What?
claiming. 145 years old. He had 4 wives. They're all dead. The last one died in 1988. All of his siblings are dead. All of his children are dead.
Well, yeah, you're 145.
This is the thing that got me with the article. So they asked him, "What do you want? What else do you want to do in life?" And his answer was, "All I want to do is die."
Oh, I could have guessed that part. It's like, that's a long time. You're like basically immortal by that point. You know?
You must feel it that way, especially when your only wish is to die.
Yeah.
Like, when you're like, that's like, in your movie, The Green Mile, when like the character, the old man, like probably lived to be that age because, the John Coffey grabbed his nuts and, got rid of evil spirits, which is really what the movie's about. I'm not making that up. That's exactly what happened is Tom Hanks had like a urinary tract infection and John Coffey, the big black guy, grabbed his nuts. And apparently, like, evil moths flew out of his mouth. None of that was made up. That's exactly what the Green Mile was all about.
See, that makes me hopeful because I'm always scared. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not like doing enough right now. And like, what if I die in a couple years? And but like, what if I live to 145? I have so much time to do everything. I could see the whole world.
You'd be middle-aged when you're 70.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like being like 30 or 40, you're just like, I was a kid.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna live to 100. I always thought like 111. That's like peak point, but 145, sure, I'll do that.
Now, before that, this guy's not verified. Apparently, they got to call up the verification offices and figure out if this guy really was born in 1870. The oldest verified person was a woman out of France who died when she was 122 years old.
Nice. That's a good age.
That is a good age. You know what also is a good age? Getting a guest in here right now. Laura.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, we got Laura Fredrickson on, Super Monkey recording artist, joining us here at the River's Edge on the Mike Sasson Show. So first and foremost, how are we doing this morning? What do we got planned for the day after you talk on live internet radio?
I am moving out of the place I'm currently living. That's about it.
All right. Well, that
sounds like a great day.
That sounds like a horrible day because moving is the worst. I hate moving more than anything else. This is where you find out who your friends are. Because when you need help with moving, this is where you find out the people that are just acquaintances and the people that are actually friends.
Yeah, I actually only have a few boxes, so I'm good. I really scaled down over the years. I move a lot, so I'm not really too concerned with it.
There you go. Well, I mean, now you're originally from Western Pennsylvania. Where are you from?
I'm from all over. I was born in Michigan, moved to California, then Alaska, then about an hour north of here, and Pittsburgh about 5 years ago.
Okay. What made you move to Pittsburgh then?
I was in a band called Nightly Standard up until about in middle of July, beginning of July, for about 5.5 years. So it only made sense to move here. I was already driving the hour down to the city at least once a week for practice. So
now what's happening this weekend is you're actually you're hosting at Cativo and performing for the first time as a solo artist?
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. What if people come out to Cativo at this week, the 3rd, September 3rd? How would you describe you as an artist, as a singer? Who would you? What kind of music? What would people come and see?
Oh, this is always such a tough question, especially because over the years I've done many different styles. My first band was like Fugazi-esque. My second was just singer-songwriter. Last one was like a funk soul outfit. This one is, it's, I don't know, it's just music. It's a lot more stripped down than a lot of different projects I've been in. Some of it's got a little bit of a country-ish feel, but not really country, more bluesy, a little more rock. It's it's music. Some of it's pretty, some of it's a little more in your face, but for the most part, it's just me.
Well, I like about that is because I hate it when we try to pigeonhole artists like, oh no, you're a country, or no, you're a rock, or no, you're a soul, and then what happens
No,
is
I'm an
that,
artist.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
you do what you feel, which is awesome. Now,
yeah.
now, who are your influences though? I mean, even though you sit there and you say I've got people, you like all types of music, but when you were growing up, who were the people that you really looked to and said these are the people that I like to emulate, and in terms of a band or soul or singer or whatever?
It not even, well, okay, so Billie Holiday is my musician of all time. Um, she, her and Bessie Smith actually were huge influences to me, and a lot of that had to do with at the time they weren't singing that way because it was cool to sing that way. They a lot of times couldn't even get into the clubs that they were singing in, not just because they were women, but because they were black women in a time in America where you couldn't go in the front door of the club if that was the case. And they were singing that way because then they opened up their hearts and their souls and their mouths. That's what came out. It wasn't that was the cool way to sing at the time. It wasn't anything like that. It was just when they opened up their souls, that's the noise that came out. And it was absolutely beautiful, and it didn't matter. And because of that, I mean, they opened doors to so many artists that never would have had a chance like that. I mean, Billie Holiday actually started singing at the big concert halls because she was banned from singing in the little like lounge venues because of her drug and alcohol problem. But that's how she ended up singing in concert halls, which is pretty phenomenal.
But what's amazing about that is, like, you talk about singing from your heart, singing from your soul. As a comedian and an artist myself and a broadcaster, to me, that's the stuff that people connect to and that lasts. Is like,
Absolutely.
is if you're really singing what you feel and not what you feel is like popular or is going to sell, or you're worried about that. That's the stuff that people 50, 60, 70, whatever years from now will still listen to, because you're talking about raw human emotion, and the technology changes and styles change and all that kind of stuff. But if you're singing about true human, life and what you are experiencing, love, hate, depression, jealousy, joy, whatever, then it doesn't matter what's, type of car you have, doesn't matter how nice your cell phone is, you can put on Billie Holiday and you're going to feel what she felt, so long ago.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible thing there. Now, what's happening this weekend? What precisely is happening on September 3rd?
Oh, well, I don't have all the details right in front of me right now, and but it's going to be the Penn Rock Scholarship. I actually was in this a couple years ago with my old band, but it's just a good time. You go out, you get to see a lot of artists that you normally wouldn't see together on a bill, which is pretty cool. We're going to be, I think we start at 10. Do I have that right? Do you have the information in front of you?
I believe, yeah, I believe terrible. 10. Yeah, I believe
Okay.
it's 10. And
all right.
And so it goes all day, or what's
Oh no, 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Okay, so it goes 10 p.m. and so it's like 2-3 hours, and it's right in Lawrenceville, at Cativo. Now, I actually perform comedy there. It's a great venue, cool location. It's actually it's off Butler Street, so it's not amongst the throngs of people, but it's just right down the street, and it's a great venue for music and great everything like that. And so what's going to happen is that these guys they're trying to get, this is like American Idol, only Pittsburgh version, but with talented people. These people are trying to get a record deal. and trying to get noticed. So you're going to see the best of local artists, and obviously we're all about that there at the River's Edge. If there's any difference about listening to the River's Edge as opposed to the local terrestrial radio stations, is we support Pittsburgh artists. We have Pittsburgh talk show hosts, Pittsburgh everything like that. So that's why this is great, and look forward to that. And so that's this September 3rd, 10 p.m. Lawrenceville, Cativa, and they can go on to Super Monkey. I love supermonkey.com and Super Monkey Recording. Now, as I understand it, you just recently left your old band, and this will be your kind of your debut is more in a different outfit. But when will we expect a new release? When are you getting into the studio and turning something out?
I believe we're going into the studio shortly after this performance. I mean, not like the next day or anything, but like within the next few weeks, we're going to be in the studio. I believe we're doing a 4-song EP, and it really shouldn't take us too long to get that out. So I'd say about a month or so, and hopefully we'll see a new release from me.
Now, do you have songs already written out, or do you take the studio time to kind of create the songs from there?
I don't know if we will create songs as we go into the studio, but the songs are already written out. I actually have not done the writing. I take the lyrics and I, of course, shape them, and I have full reign on changing things if they don't fit for me or work for me, which is really strange to have at this point. I've never had that before. But I know Brett Staggs has done a lot of the writing. Christian Grabluski is doing the writing. So, yeah, I mean, I think Glenn's been doing the right. It's really good. So it's nice to be able to go in and say, oh, hey, you know what, this key doesn't work for me, or hey, you know what, I don't really think these words fit here, but can we try this instead? And they're very, very open to me shaping these songs that they've written. So it's a really nice experience, and they're forming very naturally. I mean, we get the songs done in one rehearsal, less than 2 hours. So they've presented, songs to me, and all of a sudden we have an actual song done.
Cool. All right. So obviously it'll be the 3rd annual Penn Rock Scholarship Round 1, hosted by Laura Fredrickson, who we're talking to right now at Cativo. 10 p.m. Tickets are $10 online. You can go to ilovesupermonkey.com. That's Super Monkey Recording Company, and it's throughout the next couple weeks. They'll be having these all over the city of Pittsburgh. This week it will be Trailer Park Pins, Matt Muzzo, Terra Chain, Sky, Castle Black, Blackfly Review, and The Elemental. All great bands. Going to have a great time out there. If you want to support local music, hey, it's Labor Day weekend. You're going to have Monday off. Go there Saturday, have fun. Gonna listen and also listen to Laura. Laura, thank you very much for joining us. And when that new song comes out, send it over here, and we'll definitely give you a plug and play it, because we obviously want to support you. And again, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, that is Laura Fredrickson. Again, the Penn Rock Scholarship this year, 3rd annual, first one. It's by Super Monkey Recording Company and Pat DeCesar Productions present 3rd annual Penn Rock Scholarship. That'll be round 1 will be this Saturday the 3rd. So again, it's either that or college football, and most of you are not like me going to be sitting in front of your television watching college football. It's going to be this.
Most people aren't losers.
Most people are not just gigantic, sweaty, fat losers. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving on. Got a couple minutes. I want to talk about one thing, and then we're going to do the top 5. I saw what I felt was the most ridiculous story of the year so far.
Oh.
It's tough. It's really tough when you're sitting there going, oh my God, I found the most ridiculous story. So it's a headline is man from Central Pennsylvania gets arrested. Now, Central Pennsylvania, rural town, what do you think he did? Did he develop an app to where the proceeds go to Black Lives Matter? Did he come up with a cure for a disease?
This is like a multiple choice thing?
Yeah. Or did he get caught having sex with farm animals?
Oh.
It's actually D. He admitted to cops that he had sex with farm animals. So what happened was,
All right.
I love you. He's like, yeah, okay, we're good with that.
We're not cool with bestiality.
We're not cool with bestiality. All right, so here's what made it like last week there was a story about a guy who had sex with a van. He was caught
like the what's it called?
At the exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
I believe it was through like the front grill. So he was weird. Yeah,
It doesn't seem like that would feel nice.
It probably didn't. He's a very odd individual.
But he just loves his van.
I don't know. Much. He apparently was drunk. He pulled down his pants and thought that the truck was flirting with him. But here's this news story: a central Pennsylvania man is accused of having sexual intercourse with a miniature horse.
Oh.
According to the release, a 21-year-old man is charged with burglary and sexual intercourse with an animal. Now, when I read this initially, I'm like, okay, this is central Pennsylvania. It's a holiday weekend. This happens all the time. But here's where it got interesting. On August 16th, police were called to witnesses say they saw a man park near a barn, enter the structure for a short time, and leave. Police were given the suspect's license plate number. So right now, nobody saw him do this. They just saw him walk into the barn and just walk out.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. When police made contact with the man, he admitted he had entered the barn for purposes of engaging in sexual intercourse with a miniature horse that lived inside. He was arraigned on August 29th before a magistrate where he was released on $5,000 bail. The burglary charge carried a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison, and the sexual intercourse with the animal carries a maximum sentence, here's another one, of 2 years.
Oh, I was going to guess that.
Wouldn't you think sexual intercourse with an animal would be more than burglary?
Yeah, you would think so. You would hope so.
Like if someone broke into my house,
especially a miniature horse.
Yeah, like, and then had sex with an animal inside my house, I'd hope that the burglary would be like, okay, that's bad. But then having sex with the animal inside, like, okay, now this guy needs to go away forever. Now, but here, okay.
What if he just wanted to go to jail? What if he didn't really do that? He was just like, he was a homeless guy. He wanted to go to jail so that he could be in jail.
If he's a homeless guy, he should have stayed in the barn. Just live in the barn.
I guess so.
Become a barn person.
But someone's going to find you at some point.
Okay, fine. Then they arrest you for vagrancy, not having sex with an animal. But to me, here's the other thing that gets me. That means that when the cops pulled him over, he like almost was bragging. Like he was almost like, yeah, I had sex with the miniature horse. Like that was like a big thing to him. Because if a cop pulls you over and they've got no proof that you did anything in the barn, make something else up.
I just wanted to go pet the horses.
I took a nap. I took a leak. I smoked crack. I was watching Netflix. They have Wi-Fi in there. Something else besides wanting to have sexual intercourse with a miniature horse. And it had to be a miniature horse too. Couldn't go with the full-fledged horse. He probably saw the miniature horse and goes, you know what? There you go. He drove by it a bunch of times.
Well, I feel like if it was a real-sized horse, you'd have to like get up on a stool, you know, right?
I'm not an expert.
I don't really want to know. Yeah.
Again, now this brings me to my top 5 today, which is, it's because of something that happened this weekend. But before we get to that, we got to play the song. I think we have to play. Do we have to play the song?
Yeah.
Okay. God,
that was a lot more excited than I wanted it to be.
That was really weird. You're just like, yes, absolutely, we have to play the song.
Play the
Michael.
song. Do it.
Play the song.
My mom said that my head bobbling really makes her happy.
Okay, well then you should do it more often. There you go.
I do a lot. You just don't know because you don't make me happy. It's coming.
All right. The final countdown towards finding a new co-host that won't rip me to shreds. You don't make me happy, Michael. But no, I'm cool. That's good. All right.
I'm fine. It's okay.
That's me. I'm just like, I'm over it. Because you know why? Because I don't give a damn. That's why I live my life. I just don't give a damn. Anyway, so here's what happened this past weekend.
Tell me, what happened?
All right. So I was at a show on a Saturday at Club Cafe, and there was a gentleman at the show that I had not met yet, and another couple of the comics had met him and everything like that. And so I go up to him and I'm like, hello, hi, Mike Sasson, nice to meet you. And he goes, oh, Mike, how are you? I've heard of, we've met. And I'm like, no, we haven't met. Because no, I've met you. Yeah, I've met you. We've met. And I'm just like, I don't know.
I have a really good memory. I
where-
know.
yeah,
We did
where-
not meet.
I didn't want to say that. I'm like, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I have a photographic memory. I would have remembered meeting you. But it got me thinking about the top 5 awkward situations that we deal with every day. Now, I'm not talking about your most like oh, one time I was outside of my house naked. That's not something you deal with every day. I'm talking about something
I deal with every day.
something. Okay, so Alex just likes to walk. Again, she likes to hike. She likes to walk around Mount Lebanon naked because that's how Mount Lebanon. I'm not Mount Lebanon. Mount Lebanon, you actually do. You don't do it in Mount Washington where you actually live. You go to Mount Lebanon because it's a nicer area to hike. But
Sure.
I was just trying to save my thing. Okay, cool. But so the top 5 things so I made a list of the top 5 things that you deal with on a consistent basis that are awkward. And number 5 was, oh, we've met. And now I deal with this sometimes on the other end because I'll meet somebody at a show very quickly and I'll just be like, hey, how are you? One time I was doing an open mic in Bloomfield and I sat there and I was doing my set. And I look at this young lady in like the front row, and I go, like, what's your name? And she looks at me and goes, we met at a mic a month and a half ago. And I'm like, that's yeah, sorry, I don't know that, but she wouldn't drop it. She's like, you came up to me after a show in the strip district and said, hi, my name's Mike. And I said, hi, my name's blah, blah, blah. And you said, oh, thank you very much for coming to the show. And I'm like, and that's it? She's like, yeah.
How many people do I say that to?
But she was so incensed. Like after the show, I actually went up to her and went, hey, I apologize. I didn't remember meeting you. And she literally did not say a word to me and just was like, and just walked away. That's how much she feels. Now, here's the thing. She wasn't with a significant other. If your girlfriend or boyfriend acts like that, that's like a sign of like, okay, I got to get out of here. So that's the number 5 most awkward situation you deal with every day was, hey, I've met you.
See, I have a really bad memory, so I don't remember anyone I meet usually unless I've met them about 5 times maybe. And then I also just assume that no one remembers meeting me. Or no one remembers me in general. So it's a good stance to take because then you don't have any expectations, And then if someone does remember you, you're like, oh, that's nice.
I'm just because first off, I perform in front of, a lot of people. And also I'm the gigantic, loud, sweaty man. So it's very hard to miss the gigantic, loud, hairy, sweaty man. But yeah, so there we go. Number 4, Harrison admits he kind of does something kind of creepy, but just inadvertently in a conversation. Like same weekend, I was with a group of guys and invariably the talk of sex comes up. And this guy,
obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Well, and when you get with a group of women, I'm sure the same thing happens, or a group of guys, whatever. So we're talking and he sits there and he goes, yeah, I love doing blank. And he's like, yeah, that's, and we're like, yeah, that's really nice. And he goes, yeah, I like it too when the woman just doesn't want to do it. And I just let when she doesn't want to do it and I just do it anyway.
Jesus.
And we're all just like, yeah, you just described a crime. You just described like assault. He just, but he was just, and he admitted it like 10 seconds later, he goes, we're all like quiet. We're like, we just stopped talking. He goes, yeah, that does kind of sound rapey now that I said that. So, I mean, like sometimes you just admit that you just like something that's just weird. Like I remember, again, a sex talk. This was in college. We're in the offensive line meeting room, and we're talking, about what I like doing this, I like doing that, blah, blah, blah. And we had this new teammate who was a transfer in to Connecticut, and he just sits there, and all of a sudden he just like does this, like stop the conversation, like I'm here, stop the conversation, and he sits there and goes, yeah, but tell me right now, y'all don't eat ass. And we're all just like, we just, I guess, met you. And I guess it's just silence. And like one of the guys just says, whatever you do with your girlfriend, I guess, is what you do.
It's a weird thing for just someone that you just met to just blatantly say.
But just like but stop the presses. I need to get this out. Y'all know we all eat ass. And I'm just like, okay, thank you. Like, and at that point, we're all just like, we need to start the meeting. We need to start doing something there. So that was number 4, when a person admits they kind of do something a little creepy. Number 3, awkward situation we deal with every day, telling someone else to control their kid and or dog.
Ugh.
Like you ever walk, like you're walking and like someone has their dog and then the dog just starts barking or something. Or the worst is they don't put the dog on a leash. Like they just want the dog to be free and just explore the world. And so then the dog comes running up to you, bark, 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 and you're just sitting there going, okay, I'm either 2 seconds away from having to like pull a Schwarzenegger in True Lies where he like smashes the dog's head into the other dog, or something else. And then like you're just weirded out, and then the guy comes in. Oh, little Jimmy would never hurt a flea. He's just a lovely, lovely dog. And I'm just like, get your stupid dog away from me. And it's the same thing with like a kid. Like you just sit there, like the kid will just come up to you. I remember this when I was selling appliances. I was working with a family, and he had like this little kid. And, I'm obviously, I'm a big guy, and the kid was about like waist high. And I'm showing him a washer. I'm like, oh, it has this feature, blah, blah, blah. And I see the kid down there, and he's just kind of. And all of a sudden, just out of the blue, he just goes, whack, right in my nuts.
Mm.
And I'm like, whoa, oh, dude. And I'm looking at the parents, and the parents are just like, he's just a little scamp, isn't he? And I'm trying to sell this person like $1,000 piece of machinery and get paid. So I don't want to sit there and be like, could you please tell your kid to stop punching me in the genitals? And they're just like, oh, he's just a weird, scampy little kid. So that's number 3, telling someone else or to control their kid or dog in terms of the most awkward situation you deal with every day. Number 2 is when somebody says something that you've never, that says you kind of know them, whatever, but you weren't expecting them to say something racist or homophobic or something horrible like that, and they do, and it's just super awkward. And you're just, the most awkward I've ever been, again, was when I was selling appliances. Late one night, like about, the store usually closed around 9, so it was about 8 o'clock. So I'm sitting there, and this woman comes up and wants to buy a dryer. Pretty standard stuff. All of a sudden, she sits there and goes, what's your political beliefs? Now, obviously, that's not a question you want to get into with a stranger, especially one that you want to sell something to.
Right.
So I sit there and I go, I believe people should be allowed to do, what they want to do, and I believe in freedom. I try to use something ambiguous.
Freedom, yeah.
I believe in American freedom, whatever. And she goes, yeah. Well, maybe if the economy was better, we wouldn't have so many gay people.
What?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
What? How did
How
you
are the
say
two
to
related?
that? What did you say to that, though? What's your comeback?
I completely ignored that it even happened.
So anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But it was one of those riddles that, like, for the next, like, couple weeks, I tried to figure out, how do you connect? Like, did she believe that gay people exist because they couldn't afford the people of the opposite sex? Did they think that people couldn't afford to live together? So they, it's just like, I couldn't put my arms around that kind of just weird statement. And it was just really, really weird. And then another time, this was, again, when you're a salesperson, this is one of the reasons why if anybody's a salesperson out there, I feel for you, because it's really tough, because this happens a lot in Western Pennsylvania. I was out in the hinterlands of Western Pennsylvania, like deep into Western Pennsylvania. And I was working for, at the time, Coca-Cola. So I was in a beer distributor, and I was talking to this guy who was, who was running the beer distributor. And he was the son, and the dad actually owned it, but wasn't there a lot of times. So what happened is that we're sitting there and we're talking about Monday Night Football. And at the time, Dennis Miller, local, Pittsburgh comic who eventually went off to LA, was the new host. And that was the big deal, is that they were adding Dennis Miller to Monday Night Football. And so it had just happened, and we were talking about, well, I thought he did okay, and it was fine. It was a little forced, blah, 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 whatever. And this guy comes out and sits there and goes, I am never, ever going to watch Monday Night Football again, because they've got that disgusting comic on that show who says the most insanely offensive things. Now, I'm like sitting there going, they didn't put Sam Kinison or Andrew Dice Clay on Monday Night Football. Dennis Miller is more like political. He's more, he doesn't say like insanely disgusting things. But again, I'm a salesman and I have to agree with him. So I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Okay. That's your opinion. Okay, great. But then he sits there and goes, but not like I'd ever watch a pro football game because all of the players are black.
Oh.
And me and his freaking son is sitting there just being like, looking at me going, yeah, this is what I got to deal with every day. Yeah, this is what I got to deal with every single day. And I'm just, and literally it was like I did with the other lady. I was just like, so yeah, we'll put about 15 cases right here, and we'll put the cooler right here and everything like that. But that's, again, awkward situations when someone just out of the blue just says something racist and terrible and everything like that. And number one, and this is something I deal with all the time, when you've said goodbye to somebody and then you see them again and you don't know, like, you've finished your night, like you've said, hey, good night, good, whatever. And
then you just so happen to be walking the same way home.
Yeah. And you're like, hey, how are you? Or because to me it happens a lot, because at Mike's I try to make a case to say goodbye to all the comics, and because it's a respect thing, and I want to make sure that they understand that I respect people trying to go out there. And so I'll say goodbye to someone, but then I might get like stuck outside and talking to another person, and then they'll come by and like, hey, see ya. It's like once we've ended the night, once our thing has ended, it's like it's ended.
Just don't make eye contact with them.
Well, the other thing and this is when I worked in an office, it worked also if you already said good morning to somebody. Like if you work in an office and you say, oh, hi, Betty, and it's like, oh, hi, Mike. And then like 5 minutes later, your hi just goes from like, you go, hey, down to, hey, to like, to then eventually not like even.
Yeah, it's like whenever you have to walk past a certain person like multiple times. Like I used to do this when I worked at a video production company, and we'd be loading like the truck. You're like walking past people multiple times, and you're like, should I smile every single time that I walk past them? Should I say some stupid comment about how heavy this box is that I'm carrying? Like, what do I do? Or should I just not look at them at all?
That is something, yeah. I mean, like you deal with it every single day.
Yeah.
Where like, exactly, when you see someone multiple times that isn't like somebody that you have like a relationship with,
yeah,
like you don't have like a connection with or something, yeah, you do get to a point to where you're just like, okay, what do I do now with this person? We've already had our moment. We've already sat there and just been like, yeah, Steelers, they played. And then like eventually you're just like, then eventually you're just like to a point like, we have, I think that's exactly what happens in marriage, just on a larger scale. Like that's why you got to people get married when they're like 18, 19 years old. I think that's why it's weird when you sit there and they're like, when they're like 40 or 50, because what do you talk about? Because
you have new things happening in your life.
Not really. You ever met someone who gets married? That's why they talk about their kids the whole time, because nothing's happening to them. They just have jobs and they live their lives, and they watch Netflix. That's all they do. That's why when you ever sit there, I always get annoyed when I talk to a parent. I'm like, hey, how are things going? He's like, well, Betty Ann's in kindergarten and Jimmy's starting up football and Tony's going off to college. And I'm like, I didn't talk about Joni, Timmy, and John. I wanted to talk about you. And eventually comes out, it's like, nothing at all is happening to me. I pretty much committed more or less, to my life is over.
I don't know. My life's like that now. When people are like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, oh, I'm good. Nothing's new. I do the same thing every week. So
You enjoy this though. You could say, "Hey, the show's going great," but it's happening to you. "Hey, the show's going great. Next week you're going to Bermuda." A lot of things are happening to you.
But like but every week if someone asks me what's new, it's like nothing really, nothing that I really want to talk to you about.
That's the key. It's not anybody is saying that nothing's happening. They're just saying nothing that I want to share with you. That's why people talk about the weather, because it's just nondescript and you're not admitting anything like that. So again, the top 5 most awkward situations people have to deal with every day. Oh, we've met. Number 4, person admits that he kind of likes to do something creepy. Number 3, telling someone else or a kid to, kind of calm down. Number 2, someone says something racist, sexist, homophobic. And number 1, when you've already said goodbye to somebody. So again, post what you think are awkward situations that you deal with all the time. Put them down there, or you can put them on our Facebook or throughout the week. And next week, next week's a very special week. We probably won't get to it next week, but the week after, when Alex is back, because Alex is not going to be here next week.
Peacing out.
We'll go from there. Now, to end the show, I found this video. This past weekend was a celebration of Go Topless weekend, because there's a movement amongst especially feminists who want to basically think it's not fair that men can walk around the park without their shirts on, but women have to cover up. So this weekend in a lot of cities, they had Go Topless weekends, which again, it goes back to my goal in life is just for telling people, just stop caring. Okay, that woman over there wants to be topless in the park. Great. Let her be topless in the park. She wants to do that. Who cares? Then the other answer is, and this comes from parents again, they sit there and they go, well, what am I supposed to tell my kids? Oh, tell her that woman's happy, and someday I hope you're happy. If that makes you happy, be happy. There, boom. I just talked to your stupid kid. But one thing that has recently just come out that actually might, in my opinion, hurt their chances of ever really becoming a big time thing is this is their campaign song. This is the song that they're saying that they want to like they're for 70s, it was I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. In the 60s, it was We Shall Overcome. Well, this is the Go Topless anthem. And
play it. I want to know.
All right, here it is. It has a little thing. It says, this is, if you want it, www.gotopless.org.
I was born with a body that is pure and holy. I love my breasts as I love all the rest. I shouldn't have to hide, it's up to me to decide. If you don't like my way, you can just look away. Go to place, go, it's my life. Go to place, go, it's my show. I'll never be free if I hide part of me.
No. I can't even listen to it anymore. Like, why would you pick that as your song? There's no one else that could sing a better song, like write better lyrics.
Go Topless Go, My Breasts Are the Best is not, you don't think, or,
You can't understand most of it.
You could understand breasts and best.
Go
and
Topless Go.
Go
Yeah.
Topless Go. Yeah.
That's a horrible song. They did not pick wisely.
They did not.
That makes me angry.
That makes you want to cover up.
Yeah, it makes me not want to do that. Yeah. And that's the exact opposite of what they should be doing.
That's exact opposite of what they should be doing. Absolutely. But I don't want to leave you on that, especially since, as I mentioned before, Alex is not going to be with us next week. She's going on vacation.
Yay.
And so next week, actually very special, Brian from River's Edge and River Talk will be here, and we will have a very special guest. So we will talk to that. But I want to leave everybody on a very positive story. There's this one, like, it's, I always love this. Jim Carrey did this speech that went pretty much everywhere. And it was basically him talking about, like, his life and, you know, wanting to aim for things that are bigger and better and everything like that. And if I go for anything, if this show means anything to anybody, it's stop giving a crap about what other people do that don't affect you. And B, you know, if you want to do something, go do it. So here is the Jim Carrey thing. And it's only about a minute, and you've probably heard it, but if you haven't heard it, I want you to hear it. So this is from he did a commencement address a couple years ago.
You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, and the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant, and when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job, and our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
So that was Jim Carrey talking about that. Now, I had a similar situation that prior to me starting comedy, I was actually laid off from a sales job. And it's one of the things that got me into comedy because I sat there and I said, you know what? I can get fired from comedy jobs and that's fine. Or I could get fired from jobs that I didn't really like in the first place, which, you know, that's like being paroled. I always love when people would fire me from jobs I didn't want. They'd be like, oh, Mike, we have to make a change. I'm like, you know what? So do I. Thank you for being that. Now, next week, again, Alex will not be here. But one thing you do have to do is, again, this weekend, the Penn Rock Super Challenge. If you want tickets to that, go to ilovesupermonkey.com. And also thank you to Laura Fredrickson for hanging out. And also tomorrow, Bold Night Out at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Best of the things happening in the city. That's a show here. So 8 a.m. tomorrow, Bold Night Out. You can listen to that at 8 a.m. tomorrow. It's a great show. So have fun. Lots of great shows here on the River's Edge. Keep listening to the River's Edge. Keep listening to great local music. Again, my name's Mike Sasson. We will not have Alex next week. But you know what? We're gonna fight on. Have fun with the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy football. That's what I'm going to be doing. Go Huskies on Thursday against Maine. Bye.